The Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, says the country is not equipped with a well-designed verification system that tracks projects carried out by government. Speaking on Newsfile, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante said the data needed by independent institutions to verify these projects is not readily available and as such relies on the reports of people to ascertain what has been done.
The second thing I would say is that there are obviously other considerations that have to come into the debate, which then can help us make a distinction as to whether somebody has performed better than the other. One, of course, is value for money, and I've heard some of the discussion. The limitation to some of that discussion is that we all don't have the same data to be able to assess whether there's value for money for this project. You might not have the scope of any particular project. It's a very technical issue. There's no sort of readily reduced data that you can assess. There are issues about how quickly have I deliver a project, because if you can do it in 10 months, I can do it in 8 months. It means that I've done better than you, or I have done it with better quality than you have. If you take roads, for instance, that is the biggest challenge, the quality of the road. So you can lay a lot of, year of roads, do a lot of roads with bitumen and other, and then a few months after we have, roads that fold, like you're folding graphic or some paper or something like that. So this is, I think that for me, these are the things that I want to be looking at when we are having this kind of debate.
All right. Further added that the inability to track the input, output, and outcome of these projects will make measuring progress a difficult task. His suggestion comes at the back of the ongoing debate between the New Patriotic Party, NPP, and the National Democratic Congress, NDC, on which of them have undertaken the most infrastructural projects during their term of office.
You go to the dictionary and you Google infrastructure, and you get the meaning of infrastructure. It is basically organizational structures and facilities that is supposed to aid a certain organization or society to make society work or function in a certain way. So infrastructure is basically a means to an end. And so far, I get a sense that we are very much talking about the means and very little about the ends, because ultimately, whatever any of the parties have done, it is to facilitate a certain outcome. Even in Dr. Bawumia's presentation, when he was talking about dams, for instance, he mentions the fact that these small air dams are supposed to facilitate year-round irrigation.
Right.
And that is supposed to promote a certain type of yield for the farmers, ensure that you are reducing poverty, and so on and so forth. I would want to hear more of the discussion about how that, how can we measure that? Because that is what then we are going to judge as the progress. That is the benefit that it comes directly to the citizen. So that the citizen can say that, since the government came, I have improved my yield, I'm gaining more income, and therefore I am well off. If the citizen is only able to say that there's a dam in my area, it has no benefit unless the connection is made. So I want to hear a lot more talk about the outcome. There are snippets of it I've heard in some of the discussion, but let's look at that more closely, because that's how we're going to track progress from regime to regime.
All right.